I mean, for an inbred girl, I guess she's not bad looking.
Hello and welcome to episode number 132 of Unrelenting. I'm Darren O'Neill. He's Gene and Darren. We are one episode away from 133. That is exciting.
Nice.
Very exciting. And on the last episode, we complained that we weren't very well funded. I mean, that's an obvious thing that happens on a lot of these shows. And the last episode, I remember getting up Friday morning. I was having some kind of computer issue. I was either uninstalling something or installing something where I was like, well, just to be safe, I will reboot the machine, which I'm not a normal rebooter. I'm not one of those people that's like every day got to reboot. I will go for days or weeks or, well, not really months because Microsoft will never let you go months.
Yeah, I was going to say, would you get a Mac?
Right. You never have to turn it off. It's great. But
I think I reboot about once every 3 to 4 months.
It's about the way the Macs would go when you need the updates, when there's a security update and need to do something.
Well, they install a lot of that stuff without rebooting, but the ones that really require the reboots are about probably every 3 months.
And it was just, again, being extra special, careful, like, I'll reboot it just because it's old school, because that's what I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of the few times I did not remember to, because I'm turning on the OBS, which runs the signal over to X. So I'm opening up that. I'm opening up X. I'm opening up Adobe Audition, which we record this show in on the multi-track. I'm opening up the browser for clean feed so I can actually hear Gene. I am opening up all the podcasting 2.0 stuff. And then I didn't open up Thunderbird, my email client, because if I would have, somebody's making it go pew pew already. If I would have done that, I would have noticed that sometime between like the hour before the show started and the show started, Dale from Down Under came in with 103.48 and then came in with another 26.25 during the show.
Wow.
So now I got to make sure to monitor. It's going to have to be the Dale law. Normally, nobody sends in anything before the show, but really it's rare to get anything during the show.
Mm-hmm.
So we appreciate that. And CSB is making it go pew pew with the 48.48. And he just wants you to go to csb.lol and he says, Aaron go brah, which I guess at least isn't all hail Ukraine.
Yeah, what? He said what?
Aaron go brah, which means forever Ireland or something like that.
I was going to say, that doesn't sound Polish at all.
No, it's not.
Yeah, because Ireland is Aaron in Irish. What is that? Yeah, I don't know what that means.
It is like forever Ireland. It's like a rally cry. Man.
Irish is
it's a very interesting language.
Difficult language.
I've thought about,
Welsh.
When it was at one point, maybe 10 years ago, when all of these, and they were horrible probably by today's standards, but it was the Rosetta Stone programs came out.
They're actually good. I've heard a lot of people that have learned languages that way.
I started doing Italian and did it for maybe a month or so. And so I know a few little things here and there. But yeah, I looked at the Irish, the Gaelic, and it's like, no. I mean, nobody speaks it.
The thing about it is you have to completely disregard all the letters.
Yeah, kind of.
Once you disregard the letters, I think then it's probably no more difficult than any other language. But they just kind of throw a soup of letters into things that aren't pronounced the way they're spelled whatsoever.
It's
literally the opposite of German.
Well, it's an interesting thing because I'm not a Stephen Colbert fan at all, but he had on the one Irish actress. I'm forgetting her name. Siobhan
Molly.
No. I think it's Siobhan Ryer. I forget her last name.
Yes.
And he had a bunch of Irish names printed out on cards, and he asked her, well, how do you pronounce
these? Right. Yes. I saw that episode. Yeah.
And the last one, whatever, I don't remember the name, but she says it.
Do you remember how to go ahead?
But he was just like, screw you. No, there is no way that what you just said has anything to do with the letters. And yes, that's Gaelic for you.
What, you remember how to spell Siobhan, right?
Siobhan or something like that.
That's great. Yeah.
It is, but it's like, yeah.
And that's like an easy one.
I know. It's just
it should be pronounced Sobain.
It's like, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
It's like, that's Siobhan.
I think what it is remember, this alphabet that the English are using is actually Roman. And so when the Romans came in to conquer the UK and bring written language, because, the Picts didn't really write things down, I think that there was probably a lack of teaching of the barbarians on how to actually use the Roman language.
And it's the verbal versus the writing down.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And for a long time, nobody wrote it down.
Right. Exactly. So I think if they used like Esperanto to write down the spoken language, I think you'd have much easier language to learn.
But that's when I tried that, and I was like, God, no. I'm sure there are better ways. Maybe there's not. As far as what is the most efficient way to learn a language. And then as opposed to, I'm sure there are different languages that are much easier if you're an English speaker. I'm sure there's languages that are much easier if you speak something else. I mean, it would, really, due to our Chinese overlords, we should all probably know Mandarin, not an easy language.
Well, that's what they show in Firefly, remember? Well, actually, both Firefly and Blade Runner.
It's been such a long time since I watched Firefly. Great series, though.
Oh, I just rewatched it, because it's only,
2 seasons, episodes. Right? Or is it only one season?
It's basically one season. It's 12 episodes, yeah.
Nathan Fillion before the Castle.
Yeah, which I haven't seen that. But apparently Castle has a lot of inside references to Firefly.
It did, yes, which was funny because most of the people watching Castle would never watch Firefly.
Right.
Although Nathan Fillion seems like one of the few guys in Hollywood that isn't a complete douchebag, so.
Well, we haven't seen him vote for Kamala video yet, so just wait.
Well, he's Canadian. I don't know if did he get done. Maybe he's got.
Does that ever stop actors in Hollywood from telling Americans who to vote for?
Probably not.
No.
It's vital in this very important election that you vote for the person who has no experience and no ideas on how to fix any problems.
And I love the hope and change theme that they got going on voting for somebody who's already been in office for 4 years.
Well, and God bless Kamala for going on The View and giving one honest answer, which it was weird. And I use the word. But as was pointed out on No Agenda yesterday, and I didn't really even pay attention to this the first time around, Sonny Hosteen is looking down and reading this question. So this wasn't even an off-the-cuff question. This was pre-scripted, so you would have assumed that Kamala's people would have gotten this. And the question was, well, okay, you've been vice president for 3.5 years under Joe Biden. Would you have, if you were in control, would you have done anything differently? And she said no. It's like, wait a minute, sweetie, honey, Joe Biden had like a 28% approval rating when they decided to yank his chain and get him out of the race. So you saying, nope, I'd have done everything just the way he would have. Woo! That's like the dumbest thing you could possibly say.
Kind of is, especially after he threw her under the bus.
I know. Well, with a few different things. The DeSantis thing was hilarious. And I don't think No Agenda had the audio from this. O'Reilly did. Back to back played Kamala Harris on the tarmac wherever she was, probably heading to Vegas, because that's where she ended up going when the hurricane was coming down, was to go to Vegas, because that's really going to be
place.
It's going to be helpful. You could really just monitor everything going on. But they had her on the tarmac saying, I'm trying to get a hold of Ron DeSantis, but for some reason he won't take my call. Wah, wah, wah. And I don't know why she sounds like an old man, but that was her whole bit. And then it cuts to the old guy, Joe Biden, who's like, no, I've talked to Ron DeSantis multiple times. He is doing a great job. I even gave him my personal cell phone number in case he needs me for anything else. We are working together great.
You know, Joe is every old man who gave notice that he's finally going to retire.
I know.
And his last couple of months at his job, he's got a spring in his step. He's whistling.
I know.
He's helpful. Everybody loves him. He's like, oh, what a nice guy. Man, it's too bad he's retiring.
All of a sudden, we love Joe. It's like, this guy's the best.
Go Dark Brandon.
Go Dark MAGA, baby. Dark MAGA, Dark Brandon, they get together. You get a whole new thing.
And I think it all kind of started when he put the Trump hat on.
Oh, that's true. At the fire station.
That was freaking hilarious.
It was the sign that things have changed, that there is now going to be a new push. But Kamala, that just shows she has zero ability to understand what's going on around her.
And I love how they've completely 180'd and are trying to use age as a major negative factor with Trump.
I know.
And her Kamala is the young face of the Democrat Party. Literally a month after they were trying to push an old dude and saying age is not an issue.
Yeah. It's the hypocrisy is great.
The hypocrisy is dialed up to 11.
But they have been trying this. This is something that has been covered a lot over on Planet Rage, the show I do with Larry Blender, whatever you want to call him.
You do another show, do you?
And I do. I do a couple of them. I mean, one's on hiatus right now, though.
Yeah.
The left has been pushing for a while, at least the more radical, idiotic talking heads that are on like the YouTubes and those kind of things, saying that Trump can't have a coherent thought. Everything we were saying about Biden and bringing proof behind it, because there were plenty, they keep saying it about Trump without bringing any proof. And it's funny because they will often bring a clip and be like, well, I have no idea what he just said there. And I'm thinking, but that was all rational and I understood it. So maybe everybody on the left is having aneurysms.
Or TDS.
Possibly. And they're hearing the words in a different way than the rest of us hear them, because that would be the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
But the left is going nuts. The one guy, David Pakman, who is a YouTuber, I think he's on radio stations. Megyn Kelly's had him on. I've seen him on other shows. So people are giving his opinion some kind of weight. He was talking about J.D. Vance, and I thought maybe this was a slip up, because
he's just so weird, isn't he?
Well, that's true. But as we've heard for a long, long time, you know, Trump is Hitler, Trump is horrible, Trump is a threat to democracy. And I've pushed for years, you know what? They did the same thing, almost to the same level with George Bush, the younger, if people remember that. He went from being a bumbling idiot, and then he went to being a threat to democracy, and he went to being like a Bond villain. And I said it really didn't matter whether this time around,
exactly,
whether it was Trump or whether it was DeSantis, it wasn't going to matter. And this David Pakman, who over on the other show I always call David Packfuck, was talking about J.D. Vance. And he said, it is terrifying that he would be one heartbeat away from the presidency. Well, when you break that down, you're then saying you think J.D. Vance is worse than Donald Trump.
Right.
And it's like, what does that tell you? All this stuff that's being thrown at Trump is bullshit, because it's not like you would think most people, if they think Trump is the most horrible Hitler, well, the guy that he picks for vice president has to be better. So you'd be rooting that the vice president takes over. When you say you're terrified that he would take over, like, that shows you the left does not care about whether it's Donald Trump. Anybody that is a threat to them, they will pull the same bullshit on. And that has to be obvious by now.
Yeah, all the rhetoric is just so ridiculous coming out of the left. I had a friend of mine that came out to town. He was actually here for a wedding, but we ended up hanging out for the whole day, one of his days after the wedding. And he's a right coast liberal, East Coast liberal. And I took him out to the gun range to go shooting. And another buddy of ours joined us out there as well, brought some of his guns. So there's probably, over a dozen guns that we had between us to go around. And he and his wife had a great time. And one of the guns that our other buddy brought was a Donald Trump gun.
Oh, the nice engraved, the whole bit.
Yeah, so it was a Glock with all the Trump logo stuff on there. And his wife said that was her favorite gun to shoot. Like, she liked that the most.
I like the Trump gun.
And I thought this is perfect.
Is there like orange fur on top of it just to bring the whole thing home?
There's no orange fur. But it's been a week or so since they left. And the East Coast guy sent a text message to both me and our other mutual friend, and who may actually be listening to this. So I should, hey, Adam, how are you going? And said, hey, it's my wife's birthday's coming up, and I was thinking of getting her that Trump gun.
I was going to say, there's diamonds, there's...
and then there's the Trump gun.
Yes. Or, you can put them together. Can you get the diamond encrusted Donald Trump version?
No, I think you got to be a rapper for that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But, rappers used to love Trump, man.
Oh, of course. And a lot of them still do. They just don't talk about it as much.
Because you know why? Because the Jews run Hollywood.
The intriguing thing, like with Snoop, he went through a phase. He was all in on Trump, before the presidential thing. Then he went all anti-Trump, but then Trump pardoned like one of his buddies.
Right.
And because before that, I think Snoop even made some video that, was showing a Trump lookalike getting killed or something like that. But after he pardoned his buddy, Snoop was, and I believe, haven't heard anything differently. I think he kind of changed his tune. Like, I'm not going to say anything bad about him. Yep. Guy did me a solid. Trump's not a bad dude. Much more rather have a beer with him than Kamala. Geez.
Oh my God. Are you kidding? No, she'd have to pay me to sit and have a beer with her.
Just to listen to whatever she said.
Jesus. I don't even quietly. I'd still charge money. I don't want to hear a cackle.
It's just, she does not appear in this JCD has said this on No Agenda a lot. She just does not appear to be a smart person at all.
She does not. No. And it just goes to show you that you don't need to be intelligent to pass the bar.
No. You just need to, and she's obviously decent at memorizing things. She's not good at thinking. She's good at memorizing things. Because I don't know how many times you could give the same answer. And it's not like she has talking points in her mind that she knows how to throw other words around to make it seem like she's coming up with the thoughts over and over again. It's
I don't think she was a good lawyer. I think she basically just wrote other people's coattails. Yeah.
Well, she is a machine politician, that's how Bill O'Reilly describes it, is that she got into office and then she was pretty much given her marching orders, and that's all she does. She repeats, does whatever they tell her to do. And there's something to be said about that. This is going along with the idea that, the people that are the face of the government aren't really the ones in charge. The Barack was out there, and it was just very strange that he wanted to talk directly. I don't know if I still had the window open, but he went like, well, there seems to be a problem. I got to talk to the brothers that, they don't want to, vote for Kamala or whatever. And it's like, again, this is this is so racist to be, hey, you gotta vote for the woman who looks like you. I mean, just imagine if this was anybody on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. You got to vote for a man because he looks like you.
Right, you got to vote for the white guy because he looks like you. It's like, well, then that would be racist all the way. But Barack, no, hey, brothers, you got to vote. And he was like, she has a experience, the same experience as you. And he's like, you went to college together. And I'm thinking a lot of the brothers do not go to college, Barack. Are you unaware of this? And it just seemed like he was so disconnected and even understanding what he was saying. Or maybe this is, more of a messaging that, that he doesn't really care about Kamala either. Like, I got to go say something. Because the things that they're saying just aren't hitting home. They're not making sense. You're not talking about what kind of money is going to be left in somebody's wallet at the end of the day. And that's one of the things on our ballot here in Illinois. Oh, should we have an extra 3% income tax added on to those making over $1 million to provide property tax relief? So the question is basically, hey, do you think you're paying too much for property tax, Gene? Well, yes, of course I do. Would you like the people making $1 million or more a year to pay for your property tax? Well, hell yeah, I would. It's really kind of disgusting.
Yeah. It's honestly, I think Democrats are in zombie mode right now. Like after Joe Biden and swallowing the pill that made you pretend that he's a viable candidate, I think at this point it's back to the same thing, right? Anybody but Trump.
Right. Well, I think that's still what the left is running on. It's all just
anybody. That is what they're running on. Yeah.
Anybody but Trump.
Anybody but Trump. It's almost as if any other Republican candidate was available, like they would just endorse him.
And that's not true Trump. Because as we said just a moment ago, the leftist David Pakman, and I'm sure others, it's terrifying that J.D. Vance could be one heartbeat away. Well, then it's not just anybody but Trump.
Right.
But it just seems like a better way because we have nothing to run on that you're going to like, population. So we go anti-Trump because we feel we can get people to go down for that. Let's see. I got the clip here from, from Obama. The quote is, now I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I've got to speak to y'all and say that when was the last time Barack, do you think Barack, when he's hanging out with his rich buddies, meeting, the Queen, do you think he says y'all a lot? Seems like a strange thing that Barack would pull out. They
all do. I think Hillary was the most pronounced at that. And that, like, pre-Barack getting elected even, where she would change her language pattern for the crowd.
Right.
She became all Southern and Arkansas when she needed to.
I mean, it's fun. I mean, I guess if I stood up in front of a crowd in Ireland, I'd be like,
here's the problem. Here's the problem is you have to understand that these events are recorded.
Yeah.
And having an inconsistent speech pattern that clearly is for the crowd.
Yeah.
Makes you, it doesn't make you, but it demonstrates just how much of a racist you are.
It shows you are definitely pandering. If I don't normally talk with an Irish accent and you get in front of an Irish crowd and you're like, you fucking big fuckers. What you doing, you fucking big fuckers? How you doing?
Yeah. You start just talking about how the IRA is actually a bunch of heroes. Then the next thing you know,
things start changing quickly.
Yeah.
But here's what
it'd be like if I'm hanging out with a bunch of liberals, I'd be talking about how, Ukraine really deserves to have democracy and all this bullshit. And
topics are one thing. Speech patterns and accents are another.
It's the same thing, though. I mean, yes, it's a different
you're trying to fit in
what you're doing, but for the same reason. it is essentially a flip flop on your personality, and especially when like you said, it's pandering because you're emulating the other group, not really being genuinely who you actually are. But then again, what are we talking about? Politicians. Come on, man.
True, they are the ultimate chameleons.
No
Kamala,
joke.
Kamala chameleon. You go down to Texas, she's like, oh, I see down here, steers and queers. Yep.
What about Dana Carvey?
Well, Dana Carvey is a genius.
Oh, I've missed that guy. You don't realize how much you miss that until it comes back. Because and it's like, holy shit, the guy is sharper than anybody else on that show.
It seems like it would be easy to do like the Biden impersonation. It's not. Mm-hmm. It is not. It takes a lot of practice. The Barack Obama statement, though, that I wanted to like run by everybody was, I've got to speak to y'all and say that when you have a choice that is this clean,
mm-hmm.
when on the one hand, you have somebody who grew up like you, went to college with you, understands the struggles, pain, and joy that comes from those experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand, one, how that is all that different, but the word clean jumped out to me. I don't know if I've ever heard anybody else say that your choice in the presidential election is super clean.
I think he meant clear.
I don't think so. I just jumped back to, in my mind, Joe Biden talking about Barack Obama, you know, the racist that Joe Biden seemed to be. And remember, he said he was a very clean individual. I mean, I can understand maybe this was just a typo. I have to get the audio now. Because if he actually said if the choice is this clean, then I want a breakdown. If this is just Fox being bad at journalism, which I could also believe, then that's something else. Which, does nobody proofread anything? No, I guess they do not. But I
suspect he meant clear.
I still don't understand the concept of grew up like you, went to college with you. Now, a large part of the black community does not go to college. Okay.
I can translate that.
They're trying to make it seem like she's not somebody so different. I understand. He's trying to make her seem more like them.
Yes. And went to college with you, meaning she went to college because of her skin color, not because of her grades.
She got the diversity thing going.
Yeah. He's like, look, she's a horrible student. She should never have gone to college. She
could barely spell her own name.
But she's black, which she isn't. Just like he isn't. Neither one of them is black.
A lot of people.
He's more black than she is, but
a lot of people don't know. Her real name is Pamela. She's just been spelling it wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
So they had to change it.
She's allegedly, her father's family had black ancestry. And number one, she doesn't look like it. Number two, you know, all the alleged black tradition stuff she talks about, it didn't exist in her family because her parents got divorced in 1972 when she was a little kid.
Well, she never talks about moving to Canada for 5 years.
Mm-hmm. And when back in the 70s, parents got divorced, it was an automatic mom gets the kids thing. And her mom is 100% Indian. She's a Tamil Indian, so from South India, where they have the darkest skin of all the different Indian provinces. And so whatever tan Kamala has comes from her mom, not her dad. And so there's I think if we ever got actual results of her 23andMe test, I think that I'd be more black than she is.
It's very possible. I mean, you've worn the T-shirt once, which may put you right over the
once,
right over the edge. Might put you white over the edge. You're right there.
Yeah, I think so. It's just she looks like a very stereotypical Southern Indian chick, and I've watched a lot of Bollywood movies. So I know these things.
And which are the best ones?
Okay, I don't know them good enough to tell you names.
Okay.
There's a movie theater here, and it doesn't exist anymore. That's why I say was. That wasn't too far away from me, and it was a Cinemark theater, so it was, a large, fairly new theater that played Bollywood movies every Wednesday night. And I would often go to watch these things because I thought, I kind of like Bollywood in general, but I think it was hilarious to watch. And I've always thought this, not just for Bollywood stuff, but it was hilarious watching movies without an English translation.
So you had to figure out what was being said.
Yes. So I've done that with Chinese films. I've done that with a whole ton of movies. I don't know. Maybe some people think it's kind of crazy, but I find it just fascinating watching something, not understanding the language that is spoken, and trying to figure out based on actions what people are likely saying. And generally, you're completely wrong.
I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of a movie is to subvert expectations. And when you're going without any subtitles or translations, you're tending to follow the expectations. So it depends on the movie, but I think a lot of times it's like, oh, well, clearly these two just got married. Next thing you know, they're moving into different countries. Okay, they didn't just get married. What the hell was that then?
Or maybe it's the best way to do marriage ever.
I mean, they might be onto something there. But when they had that running, I used to go probably at least once a month, sometimes more frequently, to watch those movies. And I remember I took a couple of friends, and they were looking at me like, "You're a crazy, insane person. Why did you make me sit through a movie without knowing the language?"
Good music.
Good dancing, good music. I mean, they're always visually very pretty, and I think the stories are usually pretty fun. They're kind of a little bit like Chinese films in the sense that there's the good guys aren't just doing positive actions. They're quite often it's almost borderline like superpowers. In China, the equivalent is they're like, the good guys are all really excellent at kung fu.
Right. Yeah, they're
just
all
for no reason. They just are.
They're ninjas.
That's the way it is. Yeah, ninjas are Japanese though.
I know, but similar.
Yeah. But in Indian movies, it's a similar kind of deal, not necessarily for fighting, but like they all seem to have just the kind of a magical superpowers. Even if that superpower is like, boy from village that grew up not wearing shoes is a valedictorian of his class and becomes a doctor. Okay. Not saying it couldn't happen, but usually if you're writing a story, you want to not make the main character just have everything go right for them.
Yeah, you can't have everything handed to you. Well, then what have you learned?
Yeah, exactly.
There has got to be a struggle.
There's got to be a redemption thing. Exactly. It's a hero's journey is what we call it in the West. That ain't the case in a lot of these movies. But they're fun to watch. They're interesting enough. And I've watched comedies. I've watched action movies. I watched dramas, just a bunch of them over the years. And what I will definitely say is there's, speaking of racist, there's a very definite cultural bias and racial bias against South India because they are the darkest of the Indians, and they also speak a different language.
Do people understand? Hindi. Have we forgotten so much history that we don't understand that the world moves in this way, and it has for centuries? Do they not know that, like, the Irish were treated that way by the English? And
that's because they're black.
Of course. That's why I got to watch The Commitments again. Speaking of a movie with good music, got to watch that flick again. I pulled that clip out and posted it on the X the other day, where the the guy that's trying to get the band together. And there's, again, Ireland. So very white kids trying to form a soul band. And he plays them a clip of James Brown. And they're like, whoa. And the one guy's like, don't you think maybe we're a bit too white to pull that off? And that's when the guy goes into the, don't you understand? I mean, the Irish are the, blacks of Europe, and the Northern Irish are the blacks of we're the North Siders in Dublin are the blacks of Dublin. And he's like, so say it loud, say it, I'm proud, black and I'm proud. And, it's a very white Irish guy, which that line stuck with me because it actually, while being funny, all comedy that's really funny holds truth to it.
Yeah, grain of truth.
And the concept here, absolutely right.
Yeah.
The Fox people, though, aren't really full of truth. I found on Trib Live, you were right. Although it's interesting because the quote is slightly different on Trib Live from Obama. It says, if you don't mind, I'm going to speak to y'all and say that when you have a choice that is this clear. So, yeah, Fox, they just didn't catch that the choice was clean instead of clear. But then he says in this quote, where on one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you. They cut the knows you part off from the Fox one and didn't do the usual, to let people know that something had been edited.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. You can't just do that. That's not good journalism. You can't pull something out of a quote.
What's journalism?
I know. I took like one journalism class in college. I think I know more than most of the people doing this.
I know. I was on the board of directors of the school paper.
The Moscowan?
Yes, the Moscowan. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Might as well be. I mean, Minnesota is the most socialist state after California.
Yeah, they're getting there, man.
Oh, my God. It is. It was bad enough when I was living there. It is 10 times worse now. It is insane. Well, I mean, Minnesota is like worse than Michigan, I think, at this point.
And Obama went on to then say, and on the other side, you have someone who has consistently shown disregard, not just for the communities, but for you as a person. Oh, my God, what a lying sack of shit this guy is. Like, wow.
Yeah, given that Trump, gave him money.
I mean, being that Trump is a long record. I mean, the NAACP was giving him awards 20 years ago. Now he's always shown disregard. Bullshit. Bullshit. I mean, this is why.
Hates black people, apparently.
I think a lot of the folks are turning against this because they know it's bullshit. You're pushing it too far.
I'm seeing way more YouTube videos of black people talking about voting for Trump. Way more. Like, not videos of somebody reporting on it, but, self-recorded channels of black people.
Which it's always hard
videos or doing something, but the message being that, the Democrats suck. And I think all the importing all the Hispanic people into the country through illegal border crossings is really turned off a lot of blacks. So I would say it's almost horrible to say it, but much as what happened in Israel was a wake-up call for American Jews and the very real anti-Semitism that exists in this country, I think that the programs that illegals got on with their free money and free phone and free apartments are really pissing off American blacks now. And hold up. You've been barely letting us get by on government handouts here. And obviously I'm not generalizing about all black people, but of the people that were on handouts and black, they're pissed. They're not happy with what they've been getting for the last decade from the government, including under 2 Democrats, one of whom was black. And now seeing what's happening to the Hispanics coming in under Joe Biden,
Right.
and literally walking into a better situation than the people that were born in this country.
Well, because the people here have been told, well, this is all we have as far as the resources go. We have no more. But then, they find a lot more.
Yeah.
And this
it's
is
like
what,
watching. Sorry, go
I was going to say, this is what Peter Santinello over on YouTube and others have found that we're going in. And this is not anything new. This is over the last 2 or 3 years since the border crossing started, talking to people in the inner cities. This is a very common thread that we have a lot of homeless here. We have people that are hungry. They don't get taken care of, but everybody that's being bussed in or shows up, all of a sudden they're getting taken care of. One, that's going to cause racism.
Oh, yeah.
And two, it's going to cause civil unrest. So,
they're living in hotels.
Yes.
And they're getting stipends every month and free phones. And the benefits are substantial, enough so that apparently FEMA is out of money.
Yeah, but that was a different bucket that money was kept in, Gene. Does anybody believe that?
So was it the Ukrainians or was it the illegal border crossers that bankrupted this country?
Yes.
I can't tell.
Yes, both. And this is part of it. The deficit is huge. Trump was a big spender too, so I'm not going to say he wasn't, but the Biden-Harris administration spent over the last year, I think it was 1.8 trillion more than they brought in taxes, and the tax revenues were record level.
Oh, but they're working on that right now. They've hired 1 billion new tax collectors to go after individuals.
Right. Because even if you take every penny from every billionaire, not just tax them, you take every cent that they have, you can make the government run for 8 months and you're right back where you started.
Oh, no, and incidentally, who are you paying all those interest fees to?
Exactly. The Chiners.
Well, frankly, that would be preferable. It's not even the Chiners. It's the shadow government.
The Soroses, the people making big money. It's the
billionaires. Yeah, it's the billionaires, the BlackRocks. The BlackRocks own this country right now. Man, they do care who the president is, but in a lot of ways, they don't really care because they know it's theirs.
Either way, they're going to figure out a way to make money at it.
The reform that needs to happen is, unfortunately, it's not on the presidential side. It is something that only Congress can do. And they own most Congress people, including Republican ones.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, I think there's about 16 people in the House that are not bought off. Literally everybody else is getting donations from BlackRock.
It's the swamp, baby.
It is.
You got to follow the money. You have to know where the money is coming from. The amount of money being raised from the time she announced, I don't know where the stat came from, but this is according to Bill O'Reilly, who usually double checks things. Since Kamala Harris was made the candidate, has raised $1 billion. Yeah. Anointed. Yeah. But $1 billion.
Yeah. People love her. What do you expect?
It's a lot of money going into this. And I don't understand the need for this anymore. They're buying a lot of television ads. And I'm asking, who watches television?
Nobody watches television. Certainly not the voters that they're going after. They don't watch television.
Do you think they have
They're not going after boomers.
Is this where maybe...
they have a clue, dude. This is a payola program, not an actual advertising campaign. This is paying off the networks for lying about Trump.
But does anybody watch the networks?
Yes. And I'll tell you how. Not by watching television, but by watching short little clips on YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's hilarious that Keith Olbermann, another ultra-left loon, last week actually said on his podcast that the mainstream media is in the tank for Trump. I mean, it's hilarious.
They're in the tank, all right.
They're in a different tank, I guess. But it's a understandable, because nobody's really watching as far as massive numbers. Yeah. Any of these networks, any of the news networks.
No.
So you're right. They're getting their information from TikTok, which I find is hilarious that anybody wants to go after, whether it's Elon Musk and X are going after Zuckerberg and Facebook and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
But they want to just totally ignore. I mean, I thought TikTok was all going to be brought down, but they're ignoring TikTok, who's run by a shadow company that is, the strings are being pulled by the Chinese government.
Yeah, they don't even have to be. I mean, we kind of say that because it sounds good, but realistically speaking, they don't have to be any more than people with Russian sounding names have to be working for the Russian government when they post stuff that makes the Democrats look stupid. I mean, honestly, it's more of a cultural thing than anything else. And so saying, oh, it's the Chinese Communist Party. No, how about it's just people that grew up in China?
But they're the ones, regardless, they're the ones making the choice on what content gets seen. And if you have if you had to say what platform, or you can include as part of a platform, the mainstream media networks and that, what platform do you think gets you the 18 to 30 voters? Which one gets you the 30 to 60 and what gets you 60 and above? Now, the ones that are the youngest, TikTok is probably the most influential over.
Absolutely.
You know, that's not X. It's not Instagram. Those still exist, but that seems like that has all trended.
Now, X is at this stage absolutely for Gen X. I mean, it's a
the super young kids aren't using it.
No, and neither are the boomers. X was never for the boomers, but certainly that didn't change. So I think it's for Gen X. X is for Gen X. This is why Musk loves the letter X, because he's right. A Gen Xer.
Which is interesting to see, because this is not the same type of presidential campaign that you had 20 or 30 years ago before the internet was prevalent. The money that has to be spent, the attention is in such different places, and it is now split very much so by age, which it's an intriguing thing, because it's like, well, where do you spend your money? Which group?
Yeah, I think I've seen maybe 2 Trump ads in the last year.
Yeah, and mainly because those ads were funny and they showed up as like going viral, and you know, you're on YouTube and that's where they show up. I just
don't see any advertising by Trump for anything. I see Ted Cruz ads all the freaking time.
I hear he's in trouble. Is that true?
That's what the ad says. You know, hey, we're in trouble. We need your money. I mean, your help.
But we're in trouble here on Unrelenting too, let me tell you.
Yeah,
if it's all about just asking for money, then we're in tons of trouble.
Well, and then realistically, Texas is getting more and more blue. There's no two ways about that.
Yeah, all the California people are moving in
here. Yeah, it's a combination of California people and illegals, and they're all voting.
They're all voting. They're all looking for a better life than they had in California.
I mean, you know, say what you will about Putin, but I think there's something to be said for making sure that illegals don't vote.
Well, this makes sense because they are not citizens and should not be voting. I mean, this again is a concept. Can you imagine how easy it would be to take over a country? I mean, the United States is a little bit larger, but let's assume we had a free country.
An average country. Yeah.
Right. I know, like the UK, I know they're not under the same type of government, but say they were.
They kind of, yeah.
All you have to do is show up with like 5 million people and be like, we're voting.
Yeah. Yep.
And we're voting against everything that everybody that lives here is voting for. Oh, well,
and that has happened in the UK, and they're starting to implement Sharia laws.
True.
And I mean, at least London area. I mean, it's probably, you know, Northern England's probably still very different. But
yeah,
the further south you go, you have an extremely, well, it's still a small minority, but a very vocal minority, and absolutely a minority that'll have everybody voting. And that is the Muslims.
Yeah, and in London right now, again, according to Monsieur O'Reilly, who was just in London, 45% of Londoners are now foreign born. So we're Like, that is insane when you think about it. It's not that they're of different nationalities and their families have been there for years. They are foreign born. They were born somewhere else and then moved into London.
You wouldn't be all worried if that was Boston in the late 1800s now, would you?
No, but it does change the culture. And this is something when a culture gets
there was a
wiped
time
out.
when Boston wasn't Irish.
They didn't talk funny there?
No.
Go down to the yard. You're going to get to the yard. You're going to watch the yard. You're going to Red Sox. You're going to go to the yard.
Yeah.
Get some, what's it, chowder.
Chowder?
Yeah, chowder. Some good chowder. I like a good clam chowder.
I don't, I like,
It's got to be the New England, though. I don't like what's the red one? Is that?
Oh, yeah.
There's a different, clam
both.
chowder.
Yeah. I don't mind the taste, but I just really don't like eating organisms that eat shit.
Everything does.
No, it doesn't. Cows don't eat shit.
They're like, I'm going to just not do that. Nope.
No.
You got to test the Sir Gene food. What's in your fridge right now?
Iced tea.
Lots of iced tea. And what is
Mostly,
with that?
I have yogurt. I like yogurt.
I have to say, though, what is with that blue backsplash, man? That's a little weird.
What?
Your blue backsplash in the kitchen, man. That's weird.
I don't have a blue backsplash.
Isn't it? I thought it was.
No.
Could be.
Whose kitchen are you looking at?
I don't know. Let me see here. Let me turn the camera.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Wait, no, there's Gene. Sorry. That was Ned's.
Oh, there we go.
We try to look at everybody's just to see what's going on during the show.
Yeah.
Just to make sure everything's good. But again, Dale from Down Under, 103.48, and he did have a note.
That's got to be like 200 Australian.
Well, yeah. So we appreciate that. He is standing up
what do you say?
for Unrelenting. He says, comrades, have either of you gents seen the 2008 movie Eagle Eye with Sheila LaBeouf, pre-4chan? Could be the future, probably how it is currently, to be fair.
I have not.
I don't remember that. I have to look this up now. Eagle Eye. I don't remember
Never heard
much
of it.
I don't remember much with Shia LaBeouf, except for his, interactions with the local law enforcement when he.
When he went crazy. Yeah.
He went crazy good
it's a
too.
2008 movie, so it's an old movie. I never saw it when it came out, mostly because I'm not really a fan of his.
Jerry and Rachel are two strangers thrown together by a mysterious phone call from a woman they had never met. Threatening their lives and family, she pushes Jerry and Rachel into a series of increasingly dangerous situations using the technology of everyday life to track and control their every move. Well, this really works well for me having cameras in everybody's kitchens.
Yeah, that's convenient.
I guess we need to watch this. Michelle Monaghan wasn't bad looking back in the day. Oh, Michael Chiklis, too.
Yeah, Billy Bob Thornton's that.
Ooh, Rosario Dawson as well. I just saw her. She was in...
Back in the day.
The new Kevin Smith movie, the 4:30 movie, which was cute.
The 4:30 movie? I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's called the 4:30 movie, and it's basically probably the most autobiographical thing Kevin Smith has ever written, which is
about a movie producer,
about it like a movie nerd as a kid going to the movies and asking the girl that he likes to go to the movie with them, and then having all sorts of adventures and like trying to sneak their friend into the movie theater. They brought cooked bacon into the movie theater, which was great.
My God.
But the movie theater manager is Ken, what's his name? The Chinese dude from Dr. Ken. What's his He was in that other movie about that Community. He was in that with Ken Jeong, right? Ken Jeong, that's his name.
Oh yeah, the
comedian,
character actor.
Yeah. Hilarious.
He's a doctor, right?
Yes. Which is hilarious. I mean, he was a doctor or a dentist or something, and then he's like, I'd really like to try this comedy thing.
No, he was totally a doctor because that's what his parents wanted him to be. And I think his wife is currently a doctor. I think that if I remember right, she is. She didn't go into comedy unlike him.
The dude is hilarious.
I don't know that he's necessarily that hilarious from my standpoint, but he is willing to do anything.
Yes.
And that goes a long way. I did really like him in Community.
Well, yeah, because just playing crazy. He's
playing a Spanish teacher.
Yes, a Chinese Spanish teacher.
Yeah, which I don't know if it's all that unusual because I'm sure in China they teach Spanish too. But he was like playing a complete asshole personality type Spanish teacher at a community college, and which Community is a show about community college and 4 or 5 or 6 friends that form a study group. Hilarious show. If you've not watched Community rather when it was on live, you owe it to yourself to watch it because it is some of the best comedic writing. It is very sarcastic and understated, and you're going to see why I like it.
Well, yeah, Danny Pudi, man, I loved Abed. He was another one of those
probably
characters.
My least favorite character.
Oh, dude, he was hilarious.
Not that funny. Just racist. That's all.
No, he can't be. He was Indian.
No, you are, not him. And
maybe.
Yeah,
if I was racist, I'd be like, I really didn't like. And what's the guy's name? He's changed
focus
his
on
name.
the Palestinian character, why don't you?
No, I was going for the black character. The one that he went to be. Then he was a singer in real life. I can't remember his name.
Oh yeah. What was his singer name? He had a really stupid sounding singer name.
Yeah, it was something very weird.
It's like the Notorious something MD or something. I don't know.
That would be the Notorious House MD.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Something stupid. But it had hot chicks in it, which is more important.
Yeah, Britta was a little quirky looking. Annie was the cute one.
Yes, I would still do both of them.
So, both.
Not, I mean, I've dated chicks like both of them in real life. And,
but have they dated you?
For a reason.
Let's see. You can it looks like Prime Video does have Eagle Eye. So I guess if you have Amazon Prime.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, we'll have to make a point of watching it.
See how this goes. Apple TV, you can rent it for $3.99, but Prime Video looks like you got it free.
Yeah, good. We'll have to watch it. Yeah, we'll have to see what that's like. And again, Shia is not necessarily an actor that would make me want to watch a movie, but we'll take your recommendation on this thing.
No, but you obviously watched because of the actress that played Annie. I'm sure that you also watched Mad Men.
Mad Men? Yeah, of course.
That's another one that I should add on to to rewatch.
Yeah, I even watched her series where she plays a wrestler.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Wasn't it like was it a wrestler or was it a roller derby thing? Wasn't there?
No, it was a wrestler. Which is so out of character. I mean, it's just like, what? But she's basically like a B actress in Hollywood, not getting many auditions. And she saw this audition for a wrestler. But, she looks like Annie. And, but she decides to go and do it because it's money and, reasons. And then she really gets into it. And it turns out the whole wrestling thing is failing by the guy who's running it. So she has to also manage it and yada, yada, yada. It's the least attractive she's been on anything, even though she's wearing kind of skimpy clothes because
she's getting older.
She's getting into like too good a shape. Does that make sense? Like there's
a difference between hot and buff.
Yes, and they can overlap for sure, but her on Community is the type of Annie that I like.
The
I mean, her
black
character,
dude.
that's her character name. That's not a
Right. The black dude is Donald Glover, and his stage name
Glover. Yeah,
was Childish Gambino.
that's the one. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, what? I saw that, and I'm like, what does that mean?
Stupid is what that means. Yeah.
It's like Garth Brooks going to be Chris Gaines. I'm like, what are you doing?
It's just dumb.
Chevy Chase.
I never
of
thought he
course,
was
in Community.
particularly all that funny. I've watched one of his stand-ups. Not that funny. His music, I watched one video of his.
That
not
was
that
it?
funny.
I do like
Well,
Joel
it's all
McHale
took.
for some reason. He always seems to be.
McHale is always good. Here's the thing. He's a Gen Xer.
Yeah,
He
true.
plays a Gen Xer. That's all he plays.
Both he and
so-
Britta, Gillian Jacobs, they're both in The Bear, too. Have you watched The Bear yet?
No.
Oh, you got to watch The Bear, dude.
Okay.
Put The Bear. I mean, you can watch the whole series in like an evening because they're
Really?
like 6 hours for the whole season, and they're through. They just do the third season or the? It all blends together. It's so short.
Yeah. Well, who's all in that?
That is the guy that was in. Did you watch the American version of Shameless?
No.
You didn't watch Shameless?
It's about
either?
Irish people. I have no interest in that.
Oh man, Shameless was a fantastic. I mean, okay, I'll give you this. Shameless in America lasted how many
Too long.
seasons? Right, it probably too long. It probably lasted like 11 seasons. The first 5 or 6 are genius. They're great. You can watch them and then not watch the ending, and it would be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the kids from Shameless is the
It's
lead
William Macy, isn't it?
in The Bear. Well, William Macy, yeah, he's the
He's a very
father
good
in
actor.
Shameless.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I like him. I've always thought he was good, but
Well, he stole the show in Sports Night. Did you watch Sports Night?
no.
William
It's about
Macy
sports.
is,
Why would I watch that?
but it's not really about sports. That's the beauty. It's about
Okay.
the news network, and
You
this
know,
is
if
very
you want me to
loosely-
watch more of these things that you keep talking
You gotta
about that
sell
are
'em.
Irish, they need to start naming them something that's interesting enough for me to decide to click on.
Shameless.
Things like Shameless or Sports Night just don't attract me.
Shameless was because see they stole it. It was another one of these shows that started on the BBC. There's a British Shameless.
Yeah.
Although Emmy Rossum, I mean, you have to think she's hot, right?
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Emmy Rossum is? Wow.
No.
Just have to look it
I
up.
just spell that.
EMMYROSSUM. She
I'll
played
tell you in a
Fiona
second if she's hot.
Gallagher, the oldest daughter.
I mean, for an inbred girl, I guess she's not bad looking.
Okay, wait, there's a
Definitely looks a little inbred.
definitely got to set the marker there.
Yeah. Bodies looks decent, but
Shameless
Eyes?
is if you like edgy, dark comedy, you would enjoy Shameless. The Bear is a little different kind of comedy, but still a dark comedy. Both were very well done up until the end of Shameless. And The Bear, you know, it's they kind of lost their way a little bit in the most recent season. It was, I think, a lot of these folks that get a show made have 1 or 2 seasons ready to go that are great, and then get the call that's like, yeah, we're picking you up for a 3rd season. And they're like,
you know, they're totally faking her boobs.
what?
I'm watching photos of her wearing no bra, and she has like A cups. And then there's other photos of her with clothes, and she's got C cups.
Are you still talking about Emmy?
Yeah.
She may have had him worked on at some point. She made a lot of money in Shameless. So, I mean, there's maybe put the money to good use.
Maybe. I just think they're just
Maybe
stuffed bras.
Cotton Gin in the troll room would know. Do you know if Emmy Rossum had a boob job? We always go to Cotton Gin for these types of things. Or should we go to ChatGPT? Do you think ChatGPT would know?
No.
Well, let's see then. Has Emmy Rossum had a boob job? It'll probably tell me, I cannot answer that question. She has not publicly confirmed or spoken about having undergone any breast augmentation procedure. Like many figures, speculation about her appearance can circulate, but without any statement of verified information from her directly.
I'm also seeing her in a sports bra, and she looks like an A cup, but all these other photos of her, she's like a C cup.
Cottongen says, natural as far as I can tell. Gene is just wrong. Sorry,
no,
Gene.
Gene is just right.
Gene
you
is
clearly
just right.
don't actually look at photos, apparently.
Nah, they're all over touch. This is what happens when you got the horny
they
guy
to make her boobs smaller.
When you got the horny guy that is doing the photographs of like, yeah, it'd be cooler if her boobs are like a lot bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, okay,
tell me that photo does not look like an A cup.
Tell me that photo. This seems like a completely different show. Possibly a B, but I would say no larger in that particular outfit. And I'm always, intrigued when actresses want to wear something like that shows off so much. There's got to be duct tape involved in keeping that particular dress where it's supposed to be.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. It's
photos are fake and gay, according to Cottongen.
Yes. Well, we know what his advice is worth then.
After
when's that last donation, Cottongen?
Whoa, damn.
All right. Now look at that photo. This is a sports bra.
Well, I'm looking at the second half because you have her bending over in the
ignore that
in the shorts. It's hard to
ignore
that.
Her shoes.
Yeah, but see, a sports bra, if it's doing its job, it's contracting the way it should.
Yeah. Well, the main thing it's doing is not pushing up and creating a completely fake
Hollywood's
bosom.
fake, dude. Are we just learning Hollywood's fake?
Yeah, clearly.
Now, our buddy Dale from Down Under says, after all the hype, I had to listen to just two good old boys. Uh-oh. I was skeptical.
Feel free to switch over donating to that if you'd like.
I was skeptical given the name. Kind of sounds like a Disney Plus spinoff of Brokeback Mountain.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, dude named Ben. I hope he's listening as well to this show.
Oh, he does.
And he was...
I always am surprised by the fact that he listens, but he does listen.
He tracked me down, dude named Ben, and got my telegram because he's like, dude, I got to show you something. We were talking about some Sig Sauer pieces, and we were trying to figure out if you had a matching gun for every one of your Adidas tracksuits or just a few of them.
No, just two.
Just for the white and the black, is that all?
Yeah. I don't have any red guns or any other colored guns.
Because that would just be tacky.
It is tacky. I mean, come on.
He said, I was pleased to find Sir Gene's co-host, a Jack Ryan-esque spook dude named Ben, who carries the show like all of his co-hosts. Wow.
Whoa.
I am so glad I didn't read this up front.
Wow. Okay.
So we know. So basically what you're saying, Dale, is that dude named Ben and I just need to jettison Gene, start doing this show together. And then everything would be good. I think he just enjoys getting your dander up there.
You think?
Either that or he hates your show. I don't know. I doubt it, though.
What am I? Am I funny to you, Dale? Am I funny?
My humor?
Do I make you laugh?
Like a clown?
Uh-huh.
That last picture of Emmy is pretty nice.
Oh, I'm not saying they're not nice. I'm just saying that's called a push-up bra that is artificial.
I think you would like Shameless. I think you would get hooked. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I've been rewatching and just randomly started because an episode popped up on YouTube. And I was like, oh, I haven't seen this in a while. I've started rewatching. Oh, God, now I'm blanking out.
B12. B12. Hey,
B12.
Get Gene's B12.
I got it right here. Here's
emergency B12. Emergency B12.
Yeah.
Warning.
Oh, there we go. Now
Warning.
I can remember. Now
Warning.
that I took the B12. Farscape.
No, I've never watched Farscape. It's the cartoon, right?
That's not a surprise at all. No, it's not a cartoon.
Isn't what is Farscape? Why am I thinking
Farscape is a science fiction show about spaceships and things.
Well, you love now. There was something that came on. It was the Linus Tech Tips on YouTube.
Yeah,
was watching one of the videos and he had a virtual reality thing where he's like doing a first person shooter and running. And my wife's like, oh, is that the kind of stuff Gene does? And I'm like, no, it's just not a spaceship.
No.
If it's not a spaceship, he's not doing it.
Not often, at least. Yeah.
It's got to be space.
So it's an Australian show, which is why you've never seen it.
I've seen every episode of the Australian Lego Masters.
Oh, I'm sure you have. And it was on the Sci-Fi Channel, though, so you could have seen it on Sci-Fi. It was actually made by Fox Australia, I think. But it's about an American astronaut that is doing an experiment that ends up creating a wormhole that ends up sending him across time and space. So think of Buck Rogers mixed with Voyager, Star Trek Voyager.
Beep.
Sure. Yeah. You like Tweaky?
Tweaky was awesome, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you know who did the voice for Tweaky, right?
No, I don't think so.
Mel Blanc.
Ah, well, that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Voice actor extraordinaire.
Like a guy with a billion voices, including Elmer Fudd.
Yeah, but could he do Elmo?
I think he did do Elmo.
See, there you'd have it.
He did like all the voices back in the day.
Guy got paid a lot of money. Now they probably just have a name.
Yeah, probably got like $30,000 a year,
which back then was okay.
I don't think voice actors were ever particularly highly paid. I think the Simpsons people weren't even making $1 million back for many seasons.
Can see the lead actress here, Claudia Black, may have gotten your attention too. For
you think
for the show? I'm understanding why Black, Gene was liking this.
Yeah. Claudia Black in that show, she's super hot. She's 26, and the thing about Claudia Black is she's reasonably attractive. She's not a 10 by any stretch, but she's up there. But more importantly is the attitude. She has the most like sarcastic, everything's an insult kind of attitude in every show I've seen her in. So clearly not a stretch from her normal personality. And I dig that. I mean, it's all the sexual tension with the main character because they're constantly, trying to one up each other and do things to rib the other person.
Farscape. Yeah, but if it was on the Sci-Fi Network, that's probably why I missed it. Although I bet I can download it.
Yeah. Well, you can also watch it for free, the entire damn show on YouTube.
Oh, well, the whole show. Why is the whole show?
The whole 3 or 4 seasons, yeah.
Why would they? I guess they're making money on it, right? It must be officially uploaded.
No, well, maybe, but it seems to be on different channels. So one episode on this channel, another episode's on that, but they all come up, run right after the other.
Somebody made a list.
Playlist, yeah. But it is one of the most bizarre sci-fi TV shows that most people have never watched. But it is fun, and it's got very interesting characters, and it's got puppets, which is the best part.
That I love some good puppetry
because it was made by Hanson Productions.
It looks like, although it's up here, it says watch now, stream, Amazon Video. Although down on the free part, although I guess it's not free, that's why. So you have to be an Amazon Prime. That's probably there for free. You can watch it on the Roku channel, which would give you commercials.
I think you could probably watch it on Amazon and other places too, but I just happened to have randomly have it popped up on YouTube.
No, I was just looking so people would know if they want to watch Farscape.
Yeah. But it's a... And if you don't know who Claudia Black is, she was on the last couple seasons of SGI, Stargate.
I've never watched Stargate.
Of course you haven't, because you don't watch spaceships and science fiction, apparently.
Never watched any space stuff. I have seen all of the Star Trek shows, and all of the Star Wars movies up until they sucked.
So this is a question Ben asked me. So I'm going to ask you. What do you think is the worst of the Star Trek shows? What's your least favorite?
Least favorite Star Trek show. It's easy to say the original, but that is only because, like Doctor Who, and this is why I weight them a little bit differently. Love a lot of the early Doctor Who, but as we all know, there was no budget for special effects. It was very hokey. So it's easy to be like, well, the ones that were really well produced, people want to give them higher ratings. I think they all were decent. There was none of them that was horrible. I think probably the least fleshed out would have been Enterprise with Scott Bakula. I thought
so. Is that your least, or
because I think I think my favorites would be the Deep Space Nine, and I hate to agree with Bemrose. I think that was his favorite.
Yeah, it was. Jeez, that was my least favorite. I hated Deep Space Nine.
Oh, come on, Quark and Odo, and it was.
They didn't go places. I want a show about spaceships, not space stations.
Got to be moving around. Got to be going through the galaxy. You can't be
sitting in one spot. Like how's that interesting, dude?
So, I started watching Voyager again, but we somehow stopped before we even got to the point where 7 of 9 was added to make the show more appealing.
Yeah.
So maybe I need to go back and watch that one as well. I would not say any of them were horrible. I mean, I don't think any of them I'd say I wouldn't watch again. Probably, Deep Space Nine was good, but I will say, I think...
You know what year Deep Space Nine takes place, even?
I think the Next Generation is probably the best. You have to like Picard and... but again, that was where I started watching. So kind of like your first Doctor.
It wasn't bad, but I mean, it was better than Deep Space Nine, that's for sure.
Oh, come on. There were interesting things going on in all of them. And they just took it a little bit of a different... I don't think any of them were horrible, where I think some of the Star Wars series are just horribly bad.
I'll agree with that. I definitely will say the worst Star Trek is quite a bit better than even any of the Star Wars ones, except for Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, Empire was good, yeah.
Empire was the best. Everything else is worse, as far as I'm concerned. The original Star Trek was all right, but it wasn't anything to write home about. It was just a space copy of every movie that's ever been made about a teenager. And the third one with the Ewoks was just corny.
It was, but we were the right age for it.
There.
You know what? At the time, it was better. It played better at the time. Now, okay, I get it. At the time, if you're pushing this for a kid's audience, I understand. Buck Rogers, Deep Space Nine. No, that was a different show. But Buck Rogers, okay, the only reason to watch Buck Rogers was Aaron Gray.
Oh, yeah. Aaron Gray is fucking hot.
Yeah,
There's no two ways about it.
Like a 10 plus, especially in the outfits on.
Oh, my God. It's just basically skin tight everything. I mean, you know how the outfits in Star Trek were skin tight? This was a next level skin tight in Buck Rogers.
Oh, yeah.
This is like, okay, make them skin tight and 2 sizes too small.
Right. You got to be stretchy fabric. Got to go with the stretchy fabric.
Oh, my God. Yeah. It's, she was, a lot of boys had posters of her in their rooms.
I wish I had one now.
Above the bed.
Yeah. Like, damn. And then she was on Silver Spoons, and you're like, oh, well.
Yeah.
Don't like the show, but still.
She's still kind of hot. Yeah. Yeah. Show was kind of corny, but she was kind of hot.
I think which of the Star, well, we know now it's Deep Space Nine was your least favorite. Which was your favorite?
My favorite, I think, is Enterprise.
Really? The one I'm like, it's the most boring out of all.
Yeah.
And, maybe I need to watch it again. I've never watched it a second time through.
Jolene Blaylock, or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
Blaylock.
Yeah.
I mean, she really made that show extra special. I think, and I said this when the show with Ben in the last episode, is I think she is the most sensual of all females that have ever been on Star Trek.
The way
like there've been ones that are sexy, but she wasn't just sexy. She had the full package. She was the kind of chick that, she's the Black Widow type. She's the kind of chick that will make a guy just twist around her finger and think that he's the one that's deciding to do everything.
I was just taking a sip of liquid death, and just the way you said extra special, almost
spit take.
Almost nice. A spit take all over the.
Nice.
Yeah, she made that show extra special.
She did. It's a. And here's the other thing is she was an actual Star Trek nerd. So she was the only person on that show that had seen every episode of every Star Trek prior to the show. So
which is sad.
No, it isn't. A hot chick who likes Star Trek? Fuck you, dude. Fuck you.
No, I like that part. I think that part is excellent. I think that everybody that gets a role in a Star Trek show or movie should be forced to watch the canon of what they are building upon. Like not just read the word.
A lot of actors have this bullshit thing they say. It was like, well, I want to interpret the character myself, so I don't want to see what others have done to be influenced by it at all.
I want to make the role of Jean-Luc Picard my own.
Yeah. It's exactly. It's that kind of bullshit where,
and I would say I have not watched Picard because I heard very bad things about it. Do you agree? Was that worth watching?
I didn't see Picard. Didn't watch that one at all. So there's two of them I didn't watch. I didn't watch Picard, and I didn't see the other one that came out at about the same time with the black captain chick, because it clearly seemed like this was not actual Star Trek. This was more like, we need to have strong, independent females running things.
And what show was that? I don't remember the black captain chick.
Oh, what was it called? Discovery, I think.
Let's see.
Star Trek Discovery. I believe that's what it was called.
2017. I guess that would make sense through 2024. No, Paramount Plus only. I didn't even know this existed. So
yeah. So neither you nor I watched that show.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Looking at the list of the actors here, I don't think I know anybody that was in this. The rating on IMDb is a 7. Which for a Star Trek is fairly low. Better than a lot of things, but I think the most of the other ones are probably a bit higher than that. I didn't even know this existed. I mean, that's interesting. 10 years before Kirk, Spock and the Enterprise, the USS Discovery discovered new worlds and life forms. Sure.
Did not see it. Had no interest in it.
Well, the number one review on IMDb says seasons 3 through 5 are a joke.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That could be said of a lot of shows, though.
True. We were just saying that. Most of them, they got 2 good years that you have planned out. And it says through 2024, which I don't know if that means they're still going on or if not, it looks like there are 5 seasons.
I think they wrapped up. I think they wrapped that up.
It'd be interesting to see exactly how that one went. But so I know we're the old guys. We're the 2 guys in the box at the Muppets.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't like anything new. Stop it. Stop making new Star Trek.
No, I want them to make better Star Trek. I don't care if it's new or not. I just don't want any crap. I don't like all this DEI influence bullshit. And like Black Vulcans, come on, please.
Right, well, you're changing the whole. This was why I had a problem with with Doctor Who. It's always been a dude. Why are you changing that after 50 years?
Yeah,
if we had 50 years of Star Trek lore and all the Vulcans were of one skin color, why all of a sudden you're like, nope, we need to change that?
Oh, we gotta bring that in with exactly.
Yeah, Ned agrees. That's what ruined Doctor Who. And see, I mean, I'm the asshole because I didn't even watch one episode of the Chick Doctor.
Of the what chick? There's no such thing, dude.
Exactly.
You're imagining. Yeah.
Although I will say, the cardiologist on my dad's floor, and he got out of the hospital yesterday, looked right out of central casting, hotter than Olivia Wilde in House. I was just like, my doctor's never looked like this. I was like, this can't is wrong. Okay,
like, that's not fair, Dad. Why do you get the hot doctor? I want the hot doctor, not the smart doctor. I want the hot doctor.
Right. I mean, at least you got. If you had to choose, guys, we may make the wrong choice. It is quite possible we would be like, I don't know, we'll deal with the hot one, of course. Let's see here, but Dale from Down Under says also, after he said that, your co-hosts cover all the shows for you, they carry them. Your government is planning on having nukes in the Northern Territory, B-52s, which breaches the Treaty of Rarotonga. The loophole is transit, meaning most likely they'll fly in loaded first time since the Cold War. China is going to point nukes at us, and if you really push it, Russian nukes in North Korea. Stay unrelenting.
Yeah. No, that's totally true.
He gets very serious at the end of the note.
Stay unrelenting?
No, the whole we make fun of Gene about his co-host and did you see this movie? And then it's like, we're all going to get nuked.
Well, probably. I mean, I think that's probably true.
So enjoy the movies before we all get nuked.
Yeah, you really should, because there's a higher chance today than there was 4 years ago, for sure, of getting nuked. And I think
says Roddenberry was a commie. I think he was a socialist. I don't really think he was a commie. Did he say
whatever.
commie?
Commie, socialist, whatever. Who cares?
It was the kumbaya thing. And in a world where you could have anything made with, like Star Trek did, with their, what do they call them? When you get the food and all this stuff, it just comes right out of the replicator.
Yeah, it's a post-cash society. It's a post-money society.
Because if everybody had access to replicators and you're like, oh, I want a gun. You press a button, there's a gun. Oh, I want a chicken sandwich. Boop, there's a chicken sandwich.
Yeah, just like that.
Big glass dildo. Boop, there you go. Right there. It's ready. So why would you need money?
Chicks actually like glass dildos.
It adds a little bit of danger to the whole situation.
I think that other materials are probably preferable in that scenario.
If you need some quality glass products, then go to TexasHotGlass.com. It's the only place to get your glass.
Not watch. That's like a real website.
It is. It's my buddy Dame Black Loca. She has. If you need anything, she's down there. And
what?
She is a glass blower. She has sent me some really cool glasses.
I bet she is.
Wine glasses from my mom. She makes like oil bottles.
So now apparently we're sponsored by a glass dildo company.
No,
you should have told me that beforehand.
She makes mainly things for the glass people dildos? That like to smoke that wacky stuff
through a glass dildo. Got it.
I mean, really, if that's what you want to smoke it through, I'm sure she can make it happen. And then Dale from Down Under came in with 2625 during the show, which was totally missed because I didn't have the email on. He says, bearing in mind the bulk of Club MAGA, are boomers or boomer adjacent Gen Xers, how do you think something like an American Jobs for Americans Act to sneak in a digital ID, all the patriot branding you can handle? It's an interesting concept because I think there's a lot of people who would go for that, at least on the surface, but we don't require ID to vote. So if you think they're going to somehow be able to get something passed, the Democrats would have to pass something that says you need an ID in order to get a job, which that will never happen. But I like where you're going, that they will eventually and they're doing this, which is one of the reasons why, I mean, granted, I don't want to get on a plane anytime soon, but you and I have talked about the fact that you now need the new ID card to get on an airplane. You can't use.
Texas has had the new ID card for like a decade.
Yeah,
so
we don't
really
have
is
that.
Zero difference.
But it's you're forcing somebody to go in and get a different ID. For what reason? Oh, so you can get on a plane.
The different ID. What are you talking about?
Well, they're different IDs here.
What does that mean?
My Illinois driver's license is not a part of that. You have to go in and pay more money and just go, I want the new one. And then they just
talk
give it
to
to
your
you.
state about why you didn't do this a decade earlier.
Because it's bullshit. Why do you need to do it in the first place? We're letting people fly all around the country without any ID whatsoever. They're coming in by the millions without ID.
And you think that's the preferred model?
Oh, yeah. Well, why should I have to have an ID? So if you're full, Gene wants everybody to have an ID for everything.
I do. And I've said this before. I just think that people act differently when they think they're anonymous. They act like assholes, frankly.
Yeah, that's what we do.
So I don't. Yeah, and if you didn't have, like, if you had to be yourself on the internet, holy shit, would that be a nice place?
How many social media accounts do you have that have nothing to do with Gene, Sir Gene, or anything that can be tracked back to you?
They're all either Sir Gene or my gamer tag, which is Atlas Rand.
Okay.
I don't, and I use the same photo for all of them.
There's none that are like, it's a super secret that nobody would know.
That would be a waste of time.
Good talk today. Thank you for your service, bros, says a comic strip blogger.
Oh.
That was only 1818, but at least he didn't try to sell us on a war or anything.
Yes.
Thank you,
By the way, if you get a $2 donation that says "Go Ukraine," please don't fucking read that shit.
Okay, would have to be at least
because you keep trying
$20.
to just read first and then listen to what you just read while you're saying it.
No, what fun is that? Do you not know the concept of this show?
I do know the concept of the show, and the show is us talking, not reading advertising.
Didn't you see what Grok said? That was from CSB2. He pulled it up. Where was it, though?
What did Grok say?
About the, what did Grok say about the, where was it now?
I don't really use Grok.
Well, that's because it's not really good for...
It's not really useful, yeah.
For anything. I mean, it's if you need something very quick, as far as the image generating, it is nowhere near what any of the other ones are.
Yeah.
So it would be, not really good for that. And for the questions that you ask, I don't have a problem with completely different answers being given every time you ask. As long as they're the same factual information, I don't care that it's going to rephrase things or whatever it's doing. Because that's more like a human assistant, right? You're asking a question and they're going to answer it in different ways, even if they call, the same data up. But so far, Grok, I have not found that to be very, very impressive.
Yeah.
Maybe it was on.
I mean, I like that it's not censored, but,
where did I read it? I thought it was on, X, where CSB posted what it said about Unrelenting. Because I was surprised, even like, well, what do you mean? I didn't even know that they would know what Unrelenting was. I guess I'll give it one thing. If Grok understands that Unrelenting is a podcast and who does it, then it's way ahead of a bunch of the other.
Oh yeah, it was trained later.
It's like it was all added in. CSB added the whole thing in, but there was something in there like, well, the chemistry between Darren and Gene, that's that was like the secret sauce. I'm like, well, that's true.
Did it say that Darren carries the whole show?
Probably. I mean, that was just the Australian version of Grok, which is Grok or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see it. I could have sworn I read that somewhere. Maybe, is this the Mandela Effect CSB, or did you post that somewhere? Because I thought there was something about the last thing he posted looks to be, use chapters, and I don't see anything. I'm like, we do for Unrelenting. I mean, they're all AI, and so they could be drastically wrong at times. But the newer AI models are getting better at doing
they're better
the
than
time.
people. They're way better than people now.
Because it's a simple thing that you're asking for. Find new topics and just create a JSON file. It's not that hard of a thing to do. Where people listening, then trying to do this by hand, that would be harder.
Mm-hmm.
He said it's in DM on X. So that may be why. Let me look. Thank you, CSB. Yeah, here it is here. And this went into, he sent this. So this will be read today on the Podcasting 2.0 show, I believe. But why Unrelenting? Real talk, honest debates with a touch of humor.
Mm-hmm.
Hot topics from tech trends to political rants. Nothing's off limits.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. And engaging banter. Gene and Darren's chemistry make every episode a must listen. I mean, okay, Grok knows the show.
Grok knows the show. That's right. Although I don't know how much debating we actually do.
It didn't really say debates. It said hot topics. There was no, it says honest debates with a touch of humor, I guess.
Yeah. What?
It's
conversations. It's usually just me not watching sports and you not watching science fiction.
Yes. It's not really a debate.
Yeah. But although I guess today we technically had debate. What's the worst Star Trek show?
Yes. Let me think about this, Gene. And I would have to, I may change my mind.
I sent you, by the way, a infographic. Just so you know.
The timeline of, oh my God, somebody put some work into this.
Yes, they did.
Where all the shows fit in.
Yeah, all the shows, all the movies, all the stuff.
Star Trek
all the
Enterprise.
Things.
Who was the best captain in Star Trek?
Oh, boy.
Gene's like, not Janeway.
I mean, definitely not Janeway. I have to say, I think all the captains are greatly deficient. God, I hate to say it, but I think probably Kirk.
Yeah. Well, he is the most flamboyant, I mean, I guess is the best word.
Yeah.
But he also seemed to be in charge of what he was doing.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to go the kinder, nicer, gentler characters, I think, as they moved on. Where the womanizing of a Kirk was then looked at like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe we shouldn't have this.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't see Jean-Luc Picard going around and making out with chicks everywhere.
One episode.
Right. That's true.
When they were on the beach planet.
The Paradise.
Paradise planet. Yeah, that was about it. So, yeah, but I always figured he was gay.
And thanks, Ned came in with $5 via PayPal.
Nice.
No,
real money.
Yeah. Well, like Dale from Down Under, 26.25 plus 103.48.
Or anything about this new model that LB's going to? Because they just did some little announcement thing.
Oh, yeah. The Albi Hub now is what they want you to have, which is kind of like running your own node, but a little easier.
Yeah. But so I wonder how long until they steal all my money.
They won't steal your money, but there are limits now. I think they lowered the amount they want in the wallet, and I don't have it in front of me. So I think it was at $1 million, and I think they're lowering that now to 500,000. And I think there is a limit of 50,000 as far as maybe, I'm assuming it's just outgoing. I don't know if it's incoming. Then you're just totally fucked. I mean, I'll need to get this in front of me. We can talk about it if I can find it.
Yeah, I was curious if you knew anything about it because you tend to be more on top of that stuff than me.
Well, we were trying to figure out because my buddy Oystein Berge, who does the Mutton, Meat, and Music show, he tried to send in to the Rock and Roll pre-show a 50, some odd 54321, I think it was, which is a really nice boost. And the little part came through to Albie, but part didn't go through to the to the node. And we wasn't sure if that was because it was coming from an LB account or whatever it was, because there are limits, which it's like, well, why? And you have to know what those limits are, and you can't change them quickly. And I know everybody likes to, hey, we're changing this in 2 weeks.
There is a cost, and I'm sure they subtract it out, but there is a cost to actually sending money with sats.
Yes, well, there's always that. I'm just saying, if you're going to change what you're doing,
okay, so
you have to give
maybe this
some
is a
kind
better
of
question for Adam at some point, but remind me again why there was a reason to use sats at all in the first place.
Because it was easy and free.
It was neither one of those. It was literally the opposite of easy for everybody, but it was never free, and it's become less free as more companies start charging more for services related to sats. But you're absolutely right, though, because I think the original argument for it was, don't give your 3.5% to PayPal. Screw them. Use, Bitcoin. Use distributed money, whatever the hell it's called.
And I guess there was a note from NetNed which just said, amazing episode of Sir Gene Guesses Cup Sizes. we
Nice.
could do a whole show on that if you want to be fair about that.
I'd be not opposed to that. We may need to put it up on YouTube though,
right,
because it'd be better with the visuals.
You need the video.
As I'm scrolling through images of various celebs.
The LB limits, but thank you, Ned. The volume is now a sending cap of 1 million Satoshis and receiving of 500,000 over a rolling window of 7 days, which for most people, that's
not
fine.
A problem. Yeah.
The balance is currently limited to 500,000 Satoshis, so I don't know why their sending cap is 1 million. That would seem to me, if you can't have more than 500 Satoshis, I mean, I guess maybe you can take money in and sending out because it's a rolling over 7 days. So, okay, I get that. Makes a little more sense. And the maximum receivable amount per invoice is 250,000 sats. And the maximum for outgoing is 250,000 sats. For most people, that will probably be fine. I think the largest
That's
boost,
a very small dollar amount.
well, I think the largest boost I ever sent was to the Podcasting 2.0 show, which was something a bit over 100,000. I don't think I've ever reached more, although I remember early on the Podcasting 2.0 from Petar got 1 million Satoshi boost, which if you're on the Get Alba, you will not be able to send anything larger than 250,000.
So that's $155,
which is more than what most people are going to send. But yes, they are definitely.
But you keep assuming that these are donations to podcasts. That's not really what.
Correct. If you want
Bitcoin
to
and
use
sats are
it,
for,
they do offer. And I'll say their system, it wasn't horribly expensive. I think it was 22,000 Satoshis a month, which is interesting because we know that's going to fluctuate. So I'm surprised they didn't set a dollar amount.
That's the same thing that the guys that I was using charged.
But I'm surprised they didn't set a dollar amount because if that crashes, then you're still doing the same work for almost nothing. But
they'll raise the price. Don't worry.
If you pay them that, or you download their software, which is available on GitHub now, so you can run this on your own machine, like your Umbrella, like I'm running, and there's other operating systems you can run this on, then you don't have any of the limits. So they're pushing you to pay or to download the software yourself so that they're not the ones processing the transaction, which makes a certain amount of sense, but you just need to let people know. And I don't know what's going to happen if you had over 500,000 sats sitting in yours. My guess would be when they started implementing this, they just started denying anything else that was sent. So for anybody that doesn't know, or they're like, I just got the sats sitting there and they're still getting incoming, you're not getting messages that say, unless they've changed that, there was no message that's like, people are trying to send you stuff, but you have too much money, you need to clear it out. But just you have to be much more aware, where I would normally just ignore it. Now I have to check it weekly. The only place it really makes that much of a difference is the stats that are coming in. Like you have your stats coming in for Larry over at Planet Rage. I'm taking care of the Albie
You bring
wallet.
up a good point, which is I have no idea if I have anything coming in.
See, you have to look and see.
Because I haven't seen a message from Albie in a long time.
You're like, well, you have to set that up if you want them to email you when anything comes in. The problem would be if your Satoshis hit 500,000 and then they just stop taking money for you and they're like, Gene doesn't need any more. He's got more than enough. His wallet is full.
I mean, if that happens, I'm just done with it.
And I don't mind that they're putting limits on it, but make it it should be like a gas gauge. If I log into Albie, it should show, hey, you've got 250,000 sats in here. That's half full. You can't go past full. Your wallet will explode and all your money will be lost. Or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just need to keep anything that comes into Albie just needs to be drained out, which is usually I just send it over to, Fletcher for his shows. I send it to, get gift cards with it. I don't think I've ever really transferred much into the node. Most of the things come into the node, like for this show. I think 100% of what I'm getting for this show comes into my node. It never hits Albie. So I just don't have to worry. That just keeps building up.
Well, yeah, I don't know, man.
And I recommend people get a node. If you're a podcaster that is making more than $50 in Satoshis a month, which maybe isn't a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are, then you should really get your own hardware and run it yourself.
I hovered over Albie's extension in my browser.
The little whatever the
little
raccoon
thing.
It's a bee. Yeah. I think it's a bee's head.
And it said 200 thousand, so I must be quite a bit under the limit. So that's good.
Yeah, you get up to 500,000.
Yeah. But I don't remember what the hell my login is. So.
Oh, well, let me just clear your account for you, Gene. I'll just
if you have my login, you probably could do it better than me.
Just take all of those sats and send them right on over to the node that I've got, and then everybody's happy.
I think that's what's happening anyway.
It should. I mean, that would be great. Just make it look like the Satoshis are coming to Gene. I just need another Albie account that's just Gene spelled wrong. And people are like, I didn't
spelled wrong.
Didn't notice. I didn't notice at all.
And nobody noticed. Yeah, exactly.
But thank you, Dale. And thank you, NetNet. If you'd like to help support the show, go to unrelenting.show. The information is there. There's no big push. We just say,
I mean, honestly, dude, why don't you just take me off the damn thing?
Are you getting value
easier.
Off of what? You don't want
off the split. Take me off the split.
You don't want any money, Satoshis.
It's not real money. It really isn't. It's just make believe money. There's no point in it. I don't want to have an account anymore. It's more hassle than the money is worth.
Isn't it fun to be a part of an ecosystem? If I was
getting 500,000 at a time,
Satoshis,
I'd be saying, Satoshis. I'd probably say something different, but honestly, I've had this Albie that I got when you invited me like 2 years ago when we started doing the podcast.
I guess this show has been going over a few years now.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's got 250,000 in there, which is like what I just did the math. It was like $153.
Yeah, but you could buy a half a bottle of that whiskey that you don't like, that you don't drink anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's the time I'm going to spend looking for my login is more time for $153 than I get paid on an hourly rate.
But don't you have a Satoshi guy to go with the sushi guy and the boat guy and the spaceship guy?
It'd be like, hey, I'm going to donate money to your podcast, but I'm only going to send you Italian lira.
Well, if it was enough that you'd figure out a way to make it into real money.
Yeah, and it's going to be usually about equivalent to 90 cents.
I would highly recommend you take all those sats in your Get Albie account. You go over to the Rock and Roll Pre-Show and you make a huge donation. Just send in 250,000 Satoshis and you too can be a program director.
Why would I do that?
Because you love the show.
I mean, I'll get rid of the Albies, but not that way.
What do where are you going to put them? You
the Albies, the Sats. The Sats. I'll get rid of the Sats.
You going to put them into a gift card?
No, because they're not worth enough to do that with.
You can get an Adidas gift card.
I'll try Amazon doing an actual transfer and see if this thing fails just like the last one did.
Oh, you're trying to send it into Bitcoin?
Into my actual Bitcoin wallet. Yeah.
Into an actual Bitcoin. That's what I've been doing for Larry, because Larry is still a bit of a Luddite. So now that Get Albie has the limits, when I get anything over like 200 Satoshis, I just put them into a Bitcoin wallet form. And to be fair, his it's like about at $1,000 right now, so he gets more Satoshis on Planet Rage
obviously
than what you get on Unrelenting.
No,
it might be your likability. We're the polling from Australia.
Oh, no, it's definitely not that. It's not the likability.
We have a polling operation in Australia that's showing your approval numbers right now are very low. Sir, dude named Ben are outdoing you, and so am I. So you might want to work on that. You may want to do some Australian outreach. You may want.
Well, the good thing is I do get money coming into PayPal, so that's fine
until they're canceled.
The whole damn SAT thing. It just there's no need for it. There's literally no need for it. If your model is like pirating music and then charging money for it, I suppose SATs make sense because, you're doing illegal activities anyway, so you might as well keep being in that whole thing.
Hey, the artists that are doing these live events, which they have done and done the live Satoshi paying, they've brought in Boobery, one of the last ones, I think the event brought in like $6,000 in Satoshis.
Well, if you could only do something with that, that'd be great.
With $6,000, if you could do it, what do you mean something with it?
If you could only have a system that allows you to get $6,000 worth of Satoshis.
Well, I mean, one, you're right.
And cash out.
A free Albie account wouldn't allow you to do that, but
Clearly
the $15 a month one would. Or running your own node, which, hey, if I can run my own node, I think anybody can.
Yeah, because that's what people want. If they want to exchange small sums of money, is to run a device in their house.
If you're running super small sums, the Albie free is fine. I think that is kind of the point with this. While I'm still not thrilled because I had, different podcasts on different things, but I can move them around and I understand why they're doing the limiting. If you only want to do $1 or $2 or $5 at a time, and you're never doing anything larger, the free one works. If you want to send $1,000, well, then you need to pay them $15 a month. It kind of works out. Speaking of Oystein Badish, he's in the troll room.
I don't know how well it works, but sure.
Hey, Oystein Badish sent me some Satoshis from the Netherlands. I mean, that's across the world, Gene.
Yeah, that is across the world.
And it works.
It's at least across 6 time zones.
See? And it somehow works, well, except when it doesn't. And that's the biggest thing. When you're dealing with large amounts of money, when it's like, hey, did you get that on the other end? And we're like, no. And then they're like, well, where did it go?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I've definitely had that experience. I'll tell you that. It's, yeah.
And that is the bad part. That is the bad part.
There's a friend of mine said, hey, do you have any leads or ideas on how I could send a document to Russia? And I said, well, what do you mean?
Yes.
He says, well, I've got a document that needs to get signed and then sent over to Russia, but no U.S. companies accept deliveries or mail to Russia.
So he needs the paper copy to get there, not just
the paper copy. That's why the first thing I said, why don't you just scan the damn thing and then send it over that way?
Right.
Says, no, it's a stamped, signed document. It has to be the original. And I said, well, I don't know, man. I haven't run across that. You could just drop it in a.
You don't have a
black bag
guy?
at the embassy.
Yeah, you don't have a guy or a gal.
Yeah, I mean,
that can,
I just do it through the embassy. But if you have something that you got to send over there, then I guess, yeah, you got to, get a courier.
where can you send something? So if you're saying right now in the United States, you cannot send something directly.
Nothing.
Can you send it from Mexico? Can you send it from Canada?
Well, that was the first next thought. It's like, okay, well, Canada you can't. That's part of the UK. Mexico you should be able to, if you can find a service that'll do it, then you should be able to. But he found this website called Time Saving Machine. We're not promoted by this site, by the way. But what they do is they will take physical documents and ship them from the US to any other country, including countries that are banned.
So they just hop around. Which makes sense.
They use couriers. They can deliver one or more A4 sheets within 24 hours to anywhere in the world.
That's impressive.
They will take secret cargo with temperature controls and delivery to closed cities or nuclear power plants.
This seems like a very illegal hush hush, deep, dark,
I mean,
dark, deep,
we're not
deep,
sponsored
dark web
by them,
No.
But I just found it fascinating. They will track the courier in real time. They will prepare all the packaging lists, labeling, and everything in appropriate languages. But anyway, so the cheap rate for a
brick of cocaine going into
document.
Moscow. Document.
A document going to Russia is 4 days. Sorry, not the cheap rate. The speed of transfer.
And how much?
Just $580.
Oh, well, that's a bargain.
Yeah.
Salty Crayon asks, why does Sir Gene sound like someone that doesn't appreciate the savings value of Bitcoin and doesn't understand it? It was never created as a get-rich scheme. Well, here's the funny part. Speaking for Sir Gene,
well,
he likes Bitcoin. Okay. He just hates Lightning.
You just answered it correctly. That's absolutely right. I'm all for Bitcoin. If you want to send me Bitcoin, I'm happy to provide my Bitcoin address, guys. I'm done with this whole like micro transaction bullshit.
Yeah, it's converting even, and I understand not the biggest pain in the ass, but to convert directly from the Albi wallet into Bitcoin, you have to use a third-party website, which is still not great, and a lot of people don't understand how it all works.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be a little bit easier. Yeah, there should be you would think in Albi or any of these Lightning wallets.
Oh my God. Albi just sent me a one-time password that is booger.
Are they WKRP fans?
Let's trust this website. Yes. That's my one-time password. So quick, jump in there, guys. You can steal all my money.
All $154 of it?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I got in there.
The password is, again?
Booger. And then...
really? That was perfect.
It was pretty good, but I was going to say it's booger with a 0 instead of an O.
Oh, well, that's definitely higher security. That is a high security booger right there.
Super secret.
Oh my God, how do we have like 8,000 windows open?